First of all, I'd like to really thank Mark. I think it was a great presentation. It actually setting a good ground for mine. Martin just asked how many of people actually travel by Ryanair. So I'll ask how many of you have never traveled Ryanair? And how many of you are never considering traveling Ryanair? That's good. That's good. Because I think we are doing something right, but there's a lot to be done. So I'll start off my talk by, first saying that thank you. I'm here in Berlin. It's really nice, and it's been a great conference. Hope you'll enjoy the day today, too. And my focus is going to be on transforming Ryanair's digital travel platform. And I'll talk more about the backstory, the things you don't see, the things behind the curtain, kind of a director's cut, if you say. So basically, to set the context right here, Ryanair was founded in 1985. It was a 15-seater plane which first flew from Waterford to London Gatwick. Waterford is a very small town in southeast part of Ireland. Then by 1995, Ryanair got a few Boeing 737s, which we still fly, and it became the first low-fare airlines in UK domestic market. So it was the first time they were actually setting up this business model. And by 2000, they set up this Ryanair.com website, which was the only place you could go and buy cheap fares. And this was a great success. In 3 months, they made 50,000 bookings, and it was really good for the entire market, and the internet was new. And by 2014, Ryanair really got good at, keeping the costs low, the fares down. We got everything there right, but there was something missing. We forgot one thing. We forgot the people were getting annoyed. We really forgot about that. And I'm going to quote one of the execs here. We need to stop unnecessarily pissing off people. That was what, and that's. And that's when we launched this Always Getting Better program. We joke a lot about this, but it's still on. And the core focus there is to fix customers' problems, the issues they don't like, improving digital and travel experience overall. And this led to a lot of changes you must have noticed, there was the old website improved, the second bag allowance is now free, allocated seating, people had to queue and run to find a seat before, now that's allocated. It is big for Ryanair, let me say, it's not small, it was a lot of change. Better customer experience, we have a new app, if you guys have not seen it yet, I would really recommend you to download it after the talk. Mobile boarding pass, which came along with it, and the new website. So we have a new responsive website, which was launched last year. So all of that is great. We are doing really, really well. And this is where I'm going to quote Mark back again, that I'm more going to talk about things which went wrong while this transformation was happening. And it's a big kind of courage for me to come up here and talk about things which we failed at. But I think it's going to be good because there's a lot to learn there. So the first thing, so there were 3 things which we learned along the way where Ryanair was changing, transforming. The first being that be ready to go wrong. We're not a startup, but I still think these things are relevant to us. Always keep going. It seems very silly to us. We learn it in high school and junior school, but it's really relevant, and I'll tell you stories around it. And there is opportunity in disaster, and I'll build it through a little bit more. So I'll tell you basically 3 stories of my experience at Ryanair, and we'll talk through these 3 lessons we learned from there. The first story is the new website launch. So again, I said, we launched this really nice, bright and shiny website. It was a lot of hard work. There was a huge, nice, very capable design team. We did a lot of research. We did tons of interviews. We did field research. We ourselves flew in different airlines, EasyJet, Vueling, all of that. We created loads of journey maps. There's still something up. Our team started getting organized into, the people who are, focusing on the pre-trip experience, post-trip experience. Like, it really got ingrained in our, design teams. And we did various designs, various iterations, lots and lots of testing. And we thought we really nailed it. We thought, we got it. It was very easy to use. It was fun and delightful, really good illustrations. You'll see some of them in this presentation. Very straightforward, like transparency we increased, no hidden costs. We're trying not to cheat people there. We got all of that. Yeah, it's starting from the basics first. So then we launched the website, and it's going to be a very funny animation, but yeah. So the sales of our products tanked. Yeah, we were not performing as well. The business was kind of like, what's wrong? Like, it's a new website. I know it takes time for people to get used to it. But it was a big thing for us, and we gave it a few months too, but things were not working. There was lots of reasons given for it. The first being, it was just too easy to book a flight that people forgot to look at, check bag. It was, and that was like a fair point from a business perspective. It's not that, and we are a profit-making airlines, and we need to consider that. So it was a big eye-opener for us, and this led to creation of a strategy, which I call it, making things relevant for the customer, understanding what is relevant to them at what time in their journey. So it's all about the right customer, right product at the right time. And this got so ingrained in us after this failed attempt of ours at the website that every strategy we have today is focused on this thing. And I think it was a great learning lesson for us that, being ready to go wrong. It came up to us as a shock, frankly, saying it was not something we were expecting. But it was really good to learn back that next time we launch anything, we need to have a backup plan. What if it goes wrong? What are we going to do? It's not a small business, So that's the first story. I go to the next one. Next one is Agile. Again, I'm picking from Mark's presentation, Agile. People talk a lot about it. So we at Ryanair, got really excited about Agile. We wanted to, kind of get very aligned to the industry standards. Everything was very, very positive. And we all got training. We all went for this 3 days workshop, came energized. Yes, we're going to make a difference. We're going to have sprints and all of that. Like, it was really, really, very positive. And we got all the ingredients right. We set cross-functional teams, so designers went and sat with the developers, there were QA people there, we got our own Scrum Masters, we started doing team building, everything started. And then we got initiatives we had to work on, we were collaborating on those initiatives together, we were deciding our sprint goals, releases, everything was just right, like, what you say, Agile is. And we did a lot of releases, like, once every 2 weeks we had release, sometimes even earlier. But again, it was not long that, we saw ourselves in this position. And we knew there was, things are falling apart, it's not working. The business had very strict deadlines and priorities. And we were not like ourselves, we couldn't say that, we are most comfortable releasing this in 4 weeks. They would say, no, you have to release it in 1 week. And we know that, it's a usual thing, it's nothing new I'm saying here. So we knew this, it's not working out. We started releasing a lot of new things. Like every week there'll be completely new feature coming, and we forgot about iterating on the old ones. And that was not happening, and we knew that, we had to take a step back and put ourselves together. And then we started working on something which is Ryanair specific, not like an out-of-the-box methodology from Agile, something which works for our business needs, our requirements. And now we are building this method of scaling design and development in Ryanair. Still, it's work in progress, but I think it has a lot of things derived from Agile methodology, but it's still something which needs to be catered, customized to our business. So here, the learnings for us was, it's important to keep going. You can't give up. You'll always find the way when you keep going. It's really, really critical to keep trying and know what you're doing in the end. So the third one is the Paris-Brussels attacks and air traffic control strikes. You would wonder what it has got to do with design. But I'll talk a little bit more that how it impacted Ryanair. So this resulted in 50% of our flights being canceled. So if you guys don't remember, this was last year around this time of the year. Thousands of people were affected. Ryanair was hit by a loss of 20 million euros. It's not small. It's huge. And what was scary, it was not in our control. We couldn't do anything about it. It could happen today, and we can't do anything about it. But I would like to talk to you about something which was interesting, which we found out was, this was a very good reflection of how difficult our experience was for the people who were affected by these disruptions. It brought to the attention how much gap is there in our experience. We have a perfect, great booking experience, but what do we do when things don't, go right? And it was a very, very good point for us to pitch to the business that we want to do a service design project on flight disruptions. And this took off. It took off really, really well. And we ended up, interviewing loads of people, creating journey maps, and we invited stakeholders. That was big. So we invited people from the ground operations, from customer service. Everyone participated with us in coming up with a solution for this flight disruptions. And we ended up somewhere here that we have now live refunds. So if your flight has been canceled due to any reason, on your mobile, you'll have an ability to refund your flight, or you'll have an ability to change it there and then. We designed better communication, so we worked with a content strategist to come up how do you want to tell this to the customer? SMS, emails, verbal content, everything was a part of this project itself. And then we also designed some training for staff, especially which are on the field, on the ground, in the airports, which is hard because you have to deal with so many frustrated people. So this was a very good project, and I think it created an opportunity from a disaster, and this is where I'd like to tie back to the conference theme of designing for impact. We did create an impact, but this was from something which we never expected to be, it was not intentional that we wanted to just design for this. So I would like to summarize, even if you guys don't work in a startup, these things are still applicable to you. You have to be ready to go wrong when you start off a project. It's important to keep that in mind. Have a fallback plan for yourself. Things go wrong. Always keep going. Agile is great. I still think it's great. It did not work that well, but there's probably a version of it which will work. And there's always a silver lining to lots of disasters, so keep your eye open for that. And I leave you all with this Irishman's quote of trying again, failing better. We have had a few conversations earlier, this week about this failure and everything to do with it. So keep that in mind, and thank you all for listening. This was Ryanair Behind the Curtains for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we have time for 2-3 questions. There's one. Okay. Let me try. I hope nobody got hurt.
I think we're fine. Thank you. Hi. I wanted to ask about you were talking about scaling design and development. If you could elaborate a little bit on what that means in practice for your agile Scrum teams or your setup.
Yeah, so we have currently 4 different pods, what we call them. So each pod is comprising of, UX designers. We have product teams like product owners and business analysts, and we have got developers working with them. So there are pods which are more focused on long-term project, which is not as you need to release in 2 weeks. So we break down, and this is like a huge project like Ryanair Rooms, if you must have heard a recent launch of accommodation portal for Ryanair. So it's that. And then there is a team which we call the more focused optimization team. So we have got like half of our designers and product team working on optimizing on daily basis how we can, improve the experience. And this optimization team really works closely with the metrics people. So so we have two parallel directions of going. This might not work, we might realize in 6 months we have to, change tracks. But for now, this is the way we are thinking of going. And for the optimization, we use a lot of other tools, like, we have Adobe Target built. So it's a content management tool. We use that. We use, so you don't need like releases like you would need for a kind of a bigger project. You could do iterations. We have, Swerve on our mobile app for notifications and all those things. So there are smaller pieces which happen there. So there are two tracks we have.
Yeah, thank you so much for the talk. It's really refreshing to hear people also making failures and then really learning from them. So what I would like to ask you is, like, we talked before about like managers freaking out. So one thing I always saw is like the most thing where managers freak out is when people make failures. So what I experience is like they kick out people in projects when it doesn't work out. So how did you make it happen that the managers actually stick to you even if things didn't work out in the end?
That's a very good question, and it's a very normal symptom of things falling apart. I think what at least I have learned in my experience is it's very important for a design person to be at the level of the manager. If your organizations are structured, it goes core down to your culture of the organization. It depends on, if that person is, at that level that they can make a change and decision. And if they themselves, realize that things are going wrong and they are capable enough to have a backup plan, then it's all fine. But if you have like a hierarchy where design is sitting at the low level, where we guys are just working on our own and the organization up there, they don't know enough, that usually happens. So yeah, like in the end, I think it's I think we need to have a chief design officers in company. Ryanair doesn't still have it. But I'm looking for the time when we get there, and failures then would not really impact anyone leaving the company.
I think there was one question over there. No, don't. There might be. That's safe. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your talk and congratulations on the redesign. I think there's been a lot of great work done there.
Thank you.
But I also know Ryanair a bit as sometimes having borderline questionable upsell methods. I remember one thing from, maybe it was the old website, to choose not to have a travel insurance, for instance.
I give that example.
You needed to find the don't need insurance somewhere in the list of 170 countries. And I kind of refuse to believe that's a mistake. So I just wondered, you always need to sell when you work. And I know that Ryanair is a low-cost airline and is pushing this. I was just wondering, how is the pressure from management to go a little bit too far into some dark patterns in upsales? Yeah. You mentioned a bit also in your talk that it was almost a bit too easy to buy. And there is kind of like a line when it's getting questionable there. So I just wanted to ask about that.
So again, it's a very good question, and it's something which people do grapple with in e-commerce platforms. I go down back to the strategy of the right customer, right product, right time. If you get this right at the get-go, you know that you're not forcing someone, and you're not using dark patterns for anyone to buy. But the road to get to the strategy is not easy.
And do you get pressure from above?
Oh yes, every day we get. I hate saying that, but we get sketches of what we should do. On paper, we do get that. But I don't blame anyone, because their job is to sell, and their job is to keep the airlines going. And customer experience, improved customer experience is a means to get there. It's not there that, in the end, the core business is low cost and low fares. And customer experience is a method to reach there. It's not the sole goal. So we always get that. But in the end, we need to stick to our principles, which is hard sometimes, to kind of get the strategy right there and to build methods. We do sometimes say that, yes, let's put this in for now, but we know we can take it off. So we always have a turn-off switch. Everything we do, we have a turn-off switch always. If you want to turn off this feature, next release it'll be off. So that's how we kind of build the backup plan there.